there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of questions, a lot of potential reasons why the Arizona Cardinals are 2-4. It's time for a full-blown Jonathan Gannon temp check. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So, talked a lot about Jacoby Brissett. Talked a lot about the defense giving up more than 19 points that they were averaging. So everybody's running for the hills saying it's the defense's fault. To when is Kyler Murray coming back? Should Kyler Murray play? Should Kyler Murray wait till after the bye week? Whatever it is. I think it's time to do a Jonathan Gannon temp check. No ulterior motives, no, perceptions ahead of time. Let's just break it down together. And I brought a friend. I brought a dude. Donnie Druin, Sports Illustrated writer for Arizona Cardinals. Once again, bro, it's been a while. I haven't been doing guests really because there's been so much content, and now it's like if I had to talk about Jacoby Brissett again by myself, I'm gonna run into a wall. So I want to get your thoughts. First off, let's do a temp check on what it's like around the facility. Let's do that. I wasn't gonna ask you this, but like you, the boys at PHNX, there's a handful of guys who are there every day. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I think at least before this week, the vibes are still positive. Like at least before last game, I couldn't really get a good grasp of like the sky's falling, fire everybody. Like that was not the volume around the facility, I would say. And I think because like they haven't been blown out every game, Alex. Right. Like they've been in every single game they've lost. They've still lost all of those games. I think there's maybe a level of, for lack of better words, frustration around it, where it's like, hey, like we're trusting this process. We're doing things like we're supposed to. We're tweaking the little things, and like we're obviously competitive. We can obviously win these games, but we're not. Once or twice, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt with the back-to-back NFC West games. 2 games within 5 days of each other, one of them on the road. Like I can swallow that. The last 2 have just been atrocious. And you're talking about a team that was supposed to have playoff aspirations in 2025. This was supposed to be the quote unquote easy part of the schedule. They have the NFL's toughest strength of schedule remaining. You were supposed to be 4-2, 5-1 entering this bye week, and barring a miracle against the Green Bay Packers, you're going to be 2-5. There's going to be a lot of soul searching you need to do. What I will say though is I think Jonathan Gannon has those guys trained, ready to play every week. I don't think they're ready to give up on this season. I think there is a lot of football left, but the only problem with that, and like Suns fans will recognize this a lot, and like I'm not comparing them directly, but like this exactly reminds me of Frank Vogel whenever he got to the Phoenix Suns, and he was like, guys, like we have a lot of time to figure this out. Like nobody's panicking, nobody's worrying. And he said that, and the season just went deeper and deeper, and that same message was being repeated, and nothing changed. Nothing changed. And I'm kind of getting deja vu here again, Alex, because every week we listen to Jonathan Gannon talk about we're not panicking, we're going to trust the process. I'm okay with this, I'm okay with that. You've lost 4 in a row, John. Like something's got to change, man. Something has to change.
Yeah. I mean, after the Tennessee loss, my cold open was, are you worried now? I said it like 5 times. Like, are we still not worried? Like, are you not worried? So I can completely appreciate what you're saying. And with the Jonathan Gannon temp check, bad teams figure out a way to lose games they're supposed to win. So the Cardinals are either the best bad team in the league or the worst good team in the league. And I don't know what it is, and it doesn't really matter because losing 4 games by combined 9 points, like good teams figure out how to win games, not only when you're up with 2 minutes left on the road in San Francisco, not only when your team took Dramamine for the first 3 quarters on offense against Seattle, came back, you kicked the ball out of bounds. It's not on Chad Ryland, but I mean, they were a go route incompletion away from going to overtime in that game, to being up 21-3 with 8 minutes left in the second quarter against the worst team in the NFL and not scoring another offensive point. Like, that doesn't happen with good teams. And the fact that Jacoby was like, So the temp check for me starts with this past week. It's like, okay, so you go in with no Kyler Murray against one of the hottest teams in football atop the AFC. You go toe-to-toe, and there was no give up with that team, which is great, okay? And we saw a drive under 5 minutes, fully competent, Jacoby Brissett march him down the field and be, an errant throw and a stumble away from taking the lead. Like, we haven't seen that all year from Kyler Murray. So that's why my brain's in a blender, because it's like, okay, it's been bad coaching and it's been very good show up, ready to play coaching. I don't know which one will win if the Cardinals go to 2-7 or 2-8 after the bye week.
Yeah, I think that's what's so perplexing about all of this is that like you see the upside with this team. The Colts offense, and granted, like the Cardinals defense allowed a season high 31 points this past week, but like the Colts have dropped 40 burgers the last 2 out of 3 games entering this past weekend. Like nobody was really able to find an answer for them. But the fact that they were arguably like a missed penalty flag away from either Trey catching that ball or getting a fresh set of downs with under a minute left and beating the Colts on the road, like that would have said something. That absolutely would have said something. And I think what perplexes me is it's both sides of the coin, but the NFL is such a black and white business. Like you are what your record is. Jonathan Gannon has said that over and over again. And I think Cardinals fans are past the point to where, yeah, they're playing hard. That was a cool thing in 2023 whenever they gutted the roster. That was kind of a cool thing last year before they ended up 6-4, top of the NFC West before the bye week. And then everything's just fumbled. And what really gets me is that I love that you brought up good teams win those close games, because we saw the Cardinals before the bye week last year win those close games. Yeah. Kyler led numerous game-winning drives in 2024, and they didn't change anything offensively. They lost Clayton Adams, which I think I thought it was going to be a big loss. I did not think it was going to be this Titanic of a loss, to be quite honest, man. But like case in point and bringing it all back, I think it's even frustrating and perplexing for the Cardinals themselves, because they're doing this on a weekly basis to where like they're hanging with good teams. The Niners are a good team. The Seahawks are a good team. The Colts are a good team. Granted, they were 6 inches away from Amari DiMercado crossing the end zone and like blowing the Tennessee Titans out, but they didn't. Yeah. And as far as great as they played the last 4 weeks, they haven't been able to come up with wins. And if you don't win in the NFL, what's the NFL stand for? Not for long. And we are going to keep having these conversations until something changes. And my biggest fear with this Cardinals coaching staff is no major changes are going to be made, and everybody's going to go down with the ship.
Awesome. That's great. That's great to hear. But because here's the thing is like, the fascinating part is with that specifically, before we pivot to Jacoby versus Kyler again, is Jonathan Gannon has already succeeded in something that will last, which is the culture meteoric shift from what it was before. And I think that's pretty obvious. And that's something that's very difficult to do in a dysfunctional crapbox organization that's never won more games than they've lost. Like they're the losingest franchise in the history of football, I think. And they've also been around the longest, so that's not necessarily fair. But he's changed everything. Calais Campbell came back. Okay, that was enough. If Calais Campbell comes back, you know that things are completely different. And maybe that was his purpose on this journey, and maybe his purpose is up, and maybe you need to bring somebody in like a vet head coach who can come in and do something with this team that he's incapable of doing. I don't know if that's a thing or not. That's not something we can have a conversation on yet, but what he has done is something that many others have failed at. And that's something that should be taken away. But having said that, this isn't sit around the corner saying kumbaya. This is go win more football games than you lose. You're going to be out of a job. And he's not doing that well.
I was very vocal this offseason, and I'm a JG guy through and through.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I really am. And I think when you evaluate the temperature of Jonathan Gannon's seat, I don't think he gets fired at the end of the year. I think he would have to lose out for them to really like consider that. But I think it's as warm as possible without his job being in danger. And I think he feels the pressure. I think his coaching staff feels the pressure. I think the locker room feels that pressure a little bit. And with Jonathan Gannon, my only gripe with him is when you play the CEO role and you let the offense call the offense, you let the defense call the defense, you kind of take on that game management role. where you don't step on anybody's toes. You have to be willing to interject and step in whenever you feel like you need to.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he's done that so far. I feel like he is a little bit too trusting in a horrid offense that was just awful leading into last week. And I'm sure we'll talk about how different the offense looked with Jacoby at the helm and maybe what takeaways we have from that. I'm a Jonathan Gannon guy. Like I will never not be. And like you said, the culture thing is very real. Like you cannot buy that. You cannot bring in just anybody off the street and have that happen. And that's arguably the most important part of building something sustainable. But we have yet to see that next step taken.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, and I didn't even think about this. I mean, I've thought about this, but, not as much maybe as we thought. And we'll pivot to the offense here right after. But it's like normally, more times than not, a first-time head coach is surrounded by, Jim Schwartz and Ken Wisenhunt, like old head coaches who are great at what they do on that side of the ball to kind of cocoon him. I mean, Aaron Glenn was in Detroit with Dan Campbell, like to cocoon him with, hey, we've done this before, lead the way, and we'll take care of our sides. And he hasn't done that. I mean, it's worked with Nick Morales, and it's TBD on Drew Petzing. Having said that, is this a Drew Petzing thing or is this a Kyler Murray thing? What the hell is this season? We'll talk about it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends at Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you may as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payments into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed for hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's joinbilt.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure to use that link so they know we sent you. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is also brought to you by Rougiette. This is kind of an intimate thing to talk about, but what do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence, pure confidence. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. That's exactly where Rougiette comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications to 1 dual-action formula so you can get ready and go the damn distance. The effect can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, even into the next day. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Make sure to use our code so, again, they know we sent you. Donnie Druin, Sports Illustrated writer for the Arizona Cardinals, joins me. Donnie Donuts. That's the only good thing that Bo Brock has ever done, is that nickname. All right. So did it feel like for the first 5 weeks of the season, you were running uphill with 20-pound weights like Sean Marion used to wear when working out, and then the beginning of the Colts game on offense, that weight was lifted and you were walking downhill? Like, did it feel like it's like, oh my God, what is this? It's like you're, the Matrix and stuff. Like, this is what it's supposed to look like. Explain to me why that happened.
Yeah, I feel like the training wheels came off. And I've been, if we really want to get into it, I think one of Drew Petzing's biggest downfalls as an offensive coordinator is he tries to not adapt to the weapons around him, but more so tries to have the weapons adapt to his system. I think great offensive coordinators, they look at what they have and they say, okay, how can we amplify our strengths here? And while I think Drew does try to do that, I unfortunately think the offense he runs in Arizona is just so black and white. Hey, here's what we're doing. You need to mold to this. You need to fit inside this in order for you to work here. I think Drew Petzing's system is better operated by a quarterback that's more of the Jacoby Brissett mold than the Kyler Murray mold. But to give Jacoby credit, He stood there in the pocket. He delivered numerous times with guys pressuring him right up the middle. Took hit after hit after hit. Showed a little bit of mobility. The poise, the command. Like, I was thoroughly impressed with Jacoby's play, even regardless of the loss. And even the interception he threw, I don't think was his fault. I think Zay Jones was bumped. That kind of threw everything off.
Yeah.
I think, and Jonathan Gannon said it yesterday, like, they did tweak the offense to Jacoby's needs. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, if you can do that for Jacoby, we can do that for Kyler. But we've had at least 2 full years of Kyler Murray in the offense now, and it doesn't look like it's working. And if you want to look at the differences, like, I would be curious though, Alex. I would like to see them take that same approach with Kyler. Let Kyler throw the ball for 40 the passing attempts. And then next time he's out there, we'll see how much better the offense looks, because we can make the argument that fourth quarter of the Seahawks game where they were down by 2 scores and Kyler was just orchestrating everything, the offense looked good then. So I think there is something to be said about not wanting to run Michael Carter and Amari DiMercado and Bam Knight into a wall over and over again. Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. This is 2025. This isn't 1950. Like, get the 40 rushing attempts out of there. You don't have James Conner. You don't have Trey Benson. Clayton Adams is gone. Like, that's clearly not the bread and butter anymore. Very, very clearly. And the quicker people calling the shots in the organization realize that, the better off they'll be. And I think Sunday was the perfect case study of that.
Jacoby Brissett's got that old man strength. He's like, it's like if Joe Flacco was the quarterback for the Cardinals. Same thing. It's just like, I mean, Jacoby is a little bit more mobile, obviously. I think he's got better touch at this point in his career than Joe Flacco. But, like, I don't think Kyler Murray can throw those go routes like Jacoby Brissett can. And I don't think that like, it was obviously clear, the differentiation between the ball that Jacoby Brissett is throwing to Michael Wilson down the sideline and what Kyler Murray has thrown this year. It was shocking to me.
I think our friend Bo Brock had pointed out that there were 7 players with 20-plus yards on Sunday, and that was the amount of plays combined the last 5 weeks leading into the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's like he had, and I do the squad show with Jamil Douglas, who's a former offensive lineman, and played 7 years. He played with Tennessee with Ryan Tannehill. He played with a couple other quarterbacks who were more mobile, like Taylor Heineke and Marcus Mariota, and he's got fascinating insight with Kyler Murray. I'm like, is it easier to block for a dude that just stands there or for a dude that's going to evade the pocket almost immediately? And he's like, if you got a dude that can sit in the pocket and you just have to build one pocket and not have to move with the guy behind line of scrimmage, it's exponentially easier. I do think Will Hernandez being back added massive amount of uptick, like Evan Brown playing left guard healthy again, getting Isaiah Adams the hell off the field. Like, it helps. But it cannot be understated in a vacuum for that one game. That offense, snap 1 to the final snap, looked exponentially more competent than anything we've seen from Kyler Murray this year. Like, we've seen 5 quarters in 5 games of greatness, 1.5 against Carolina, 1 against Seattle, 1 against Tennessee, in the first quarter, I think, against the Saints. But by and large, it's been a crap box offense, Donnie. Like, there's no momentum. There's no juice. And all there was juice on Sunday. So that excites me and terrifies me. And also, let me ask you this before we pivot to the defense as I go long-winded here. I wonder if it's the new car smell and not as good as what our action potentials are saying, just because it's such a stark difference. Or is that the best version of the offense and you got to play fantasy football and throw the best quarterback out there for this offense?
I think it might be a little bit of the new car smell, because we have to remember, game planning for an offense with very little tape with Jacoby Brissett in the Cardinals uniform, that's tough. That is very, and I don't think people give a lot of credence to that, but you don't know the tendencies, you don't know what the play calling is going to be like. It really is hard. Yeah. I think we're going to find out very, very quickly what kind of offense this is with Jacoby Brissett if he has to play next week against a very, very good Green Bay Packers team that'll have some actual game film on what Drew Petzing likes to do with Jacoby Brissett and what Jacoby likes to do within the offense. But I think that being said, I've been very of the mindset that Kyler Murray has not been the problem this year. I do not think Kyler has been the biggest issue with this team. But also, just looking at it in a vacuum like you, how can you not walk away impressed with what you saw yesterday? And then you have to take it an even further step back and say, okay, was that Jacoby? Was that kind of Drew like opening the floodgates for the offense, like really like move the ball down the field? Is it both? Like it's so hard to tell from a 1 game sample size, but like what can't be argued was the offense had its best day. It truly had its best day. And like Alex, like if Jacoby's forced to play again next week and he has another good showing, and like the offense looks competent, it looks how it should be. If you're really in the business of winning football games in 2025, we have to have conversations. Yeah. You don't have to make that move, but we have to at least talk about it, because what you're getting from player A compared to player B is just not the same. But that's working on the assumption that Jacoby 1 plays again next week and 2 has another stellar showing. If you can do that, if he could have similar success against a very, very good Packers defense with Micah Parsons likely in the backfield every other play, we got to talk about it.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's the thing that cannot happen, because it means Kyler Murray will no longer be an Arizona Cardinal, which may very well be the case. We don't know. It's still early in the season to figure out. But like, say Jacoby Brissett starts and then whatever, they win or lose, whatever it may be, and then Kyler Murray comes back week 9. And he looks terrible, and then you bench him for Jacoby Brissett, that's it. That's a wrap. Like, no longer will Kyler Murray be an Arizona Cardinal after this season. So if you win on Sunday and Jacoby Brissett looks good, and then Kyler Murray comes back in week 9 and excrements the bed, and your season is over because of it, what are we doing? So, I mean, again, these are all super down, even quote-unquote down the road. A month from now is a different world than where we are now. We need to determine on if Jacoby, first of all, if Kyler's healthy. If he's healthy, I still think, I understand you start him on Sunday. And
for sure,
if the Cardinals are 2-5 going into the bye week, I'd be hard pressed to think that unless they're moving on from both coordinator or, Drew Petzing at the end of the year, there's no reason to fire him now. You may as well just ride it out. But yeah, so many moving pieces. The defense, okay. This has been a point of contention for me with a lot of my viewers because they're blaming the defense more than I am. And we'll talk about it with Donnie Druin from, SI next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals brought to you by, FanDuel. They've got an offer you don't want to miss, man. If you're a new customer, you can bet $5. And if you win, you get $300 in bonus bets. So again, if you're a new customer, if you haven't played there before, download the app, deposit $5, make a $5 bet, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets around the app. I mean, I don't know if there's a better option on planet Earth for that. If you want to take a shot at who's going to win MVP, who's going to win the Super Bowl, like MVP is fascinating. Like Daniel Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, all towards the top with so much football left to play. But FanDuel's got you covered for all of it. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app and get started today. Donnie Druin, Sports Illustrated. What do we do to deserve this? It's so funny. So, and for those that didn't see, and this isn't Locked On Panthers, but there was a prominent Panthers podcast that shut the doors. They're like, we're done. Yeah. We're done. Because this Panthers team just isn't worth the struggle, weekly struggle. And of course, the Panthers have won 2 games since the Panthers podcast is shut down, but that's neither here nor there. The defense, Mina Kimes had the stat of the year on her show. She had Dominique Foxworth on, and it was the Arizona Cardinals defensive EPA for the first 3 quarters was first in the NFL, and it was 27th in the fourth quarter. And I hold that directly correlative to the offense just not showing up in the second half of games and then being on the field a lot longer. They gave up 31 points. You tweeted out, I mean, the first drive and the last drive were like it was matted on easy. And that's something that we're not accustomed to this year. Is that a one-off? Is that just a really good offense that the Cardinals went up against with, the best running back in the NFL through 6 weeks?
I want to say no. And I think the only reason why I want to say no is because you look at what transpired in the first 2 weeks against teams like New Orleans and Carolina. It took 2 stops at the very, very end in order for them to walk away with wins. Yeah. And the Cardinals were 2-0, but you walked away from that 2-0 start being like, I don't know, man. Like they can't They can't do this against like the Niners and the Seahawks. They did it against the Niners and the Seahawks, both game-winning drives. They couldn't get a stop against the Titans in the fourth quarter whenever they needed it. They couldn't get a stop in the fourth quarter against the Colts. It's the same thing over and over and over again. If we're going to talk about the offense's faults and just how like they're not able to get anything going, we got to look at the other side of the ball too. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know what the problem is, but like if we can call it like we see it, like the Cardinals defense has not stepped up most whenever they've needed it to. They haven't. Are they tired from the offense and not being able to sustain drives? I absolutely buy into that. I do. Do I think that's the only thing holding them back? No, yeah. I don't. I would like to see Nick Rallis get a little bit more aggressive with his play calling. Whatever Rallis is in his bag, throwing sim pressures, bringing guys left and right, just like really making things difficult instead of sitting back, playing zone defense with Akeem Davis-Gaither getting picked apart by the Indianapolis Colts last week. Like just time and time again. And I do have to give credit, at least last week, to Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones made a handful of throws where he just laced it between defenders with Calais Campbell up as he made a handful of big boy throws. I've never seen Daniel Jones do that in my life. If you would have told me before the season, hey, do you want to get in a track meet with Daniel Jones? I'm signing up for it. Clearly, we were all wrong. The Colts have one of the best offenses in the leagues, but that's just a microcosm of what the Arizona Cardinals defense is. Great defense makes stops like that.
Yeah,
the Cardinals have a good defense for sure, undoubtedly. They're missing a few pieces as well. Like Garrett Williams being out is such a big loss. I hope he's able to return soon. No defensive lineman outside of Calais Campbell seems to be getting pressure on the quarterback. There's so many injuries with like Darius Robinson is playing. Who knows when is Walter Nolan alive? Like I don't know. I'll have to check for him at the facility. It's a lot. It's a lot, Alex. It's a team game. There's so many integrating parts of it. Like it's really hard to look at one thing and be like, okay, if they fix this, things will get going again. But so far, the Cardinals defense, which we talked about preseason, had potential to be top 10, like top 7 in the NFL. They just haven't done it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, they're giving up 19 points a game up until this past week. Like, what more do you want from a defense? Like, I don't know. Like, I get it. The final drives, yes. Like, that's something that I apologize to every day. I'm like, I haven't talked about the defense enough. I think it's because they've always kind of been that anchor. Even with Cliff here, they were the strongest part of the defense, irrespective of who was there. And that was always the issue. And then it's like, well, then it's a Kyler thing. Like why is that not just, if the defense is the strength, why is this offense still constructed the way it's constructed? So I struggle with a lot of things here. I've been a Kyler guy forever, and I still am. But it's like, if it looks like a duck, it talks like a duck. It's like, okay, maybe that's just the uncomfortable truth. And maybe a little bit above average just isn't good enough. And maybe you got to blow it up. But it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, Garrett Williams being out is tough. Was it you that tweeted out Walter Nolan on the sidelines in street clothes this week?
No, that was Teo Mackey.
Oh,
like he's been in street clothes since training camp. That's nothing. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating. I mean, so wrapping this up, okay, going into Green Bay, say they get blown out, 34-17, something like that. Like Jordan Love just picks them apart. And just side note, Daniel Jones, the crossing route to Alec Pierce and the touchdown pass to Josh Downs in the back of the end zone, just undefensible. Those two throws. I think they were on the same drive. If they get blown out, does anything change aside from Kyler Murray being quarterback when he's healthy again?
No. Yeah. No, and I think and it's so funny because Gannon was asked about making changes during his Monday press conference, and he was like, "You don't make massive changes. You go back to what you know is true, and then you make tweaks from there." What they believe to be true is probably a lot different than what Cardinals fans believe to be true. Gannon just has a lot of, for better or worse, he has a lot of trust in the current people in the building. And we'll see how far that takes them. I don't see any big change. I would love to if they get blown out, like something needs to change. It's been 5 games in a row, but I don't see anything popping like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that must mean that they're just resigned to their fate, that you'll make changes in the offseason. I wonder if Nick Rallis is cooling off as a potential head coach candidate. I don't know. I mean, dude, they've looked really good for the majority of the season without one of the best corners in football. Will Johnson is the highest rated corner on Pro Football Focus this year. Like, the sum of the parts isn't as good as the pieces, and that's coaching. That's coaching. So if that's coaching, and you look at a laundry list of coaches who want to get back into the league, or who are, coordinators who took a year off from a bad situation and want to get back in the league, like, this is a team that everybody would flock to roster-wise. Maybe you change the quarter, but look at the roster. You got Marv, you got Trey, you got a good offensive line, you have Trey Benson, you've got that defense. It's like, this would be a coveted role, even though it's the Arizona Cardinals, you would think, right?
I think if you swap the helmets and the jerseys and you put this roster and this coaching staff on like a Cowboys or a Packers or a Steelers, people are like, I want to play there. Like, there's something here that can be brewing. I want to be a part of it. Yeah. But because it's Arizona, because it's the Cardinals, maybe a little bit less.
Thanks a lot, Mikey B. Tell them where they can find you, dude.
Yeah, at Donnie Druin on Twitter, and follow our work at si.com/NFL/Cardinals.
Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Remember, without you, there is no me. There still will be Michael Bidwell, though, which is unfortunate. We'll talk to you tomorrow.